3, 2, 1. Welcome back to another edition of People Are Terrible. I'm Jeremy, and I'm joined as always with Caleb Miles. What's up, Caleb?
That was a very slow countdown. Really suspenseful. Really built up the episode.
Oh, yeah, you like that? It
very
felt slow.
Yeah, it was extremely slow. It's like 10 seconds of the podcast.
So this week, we're going to do what we always do on the show. We're going to talk about some weird news headlines from the week. We're going to talk about some Florida Man headlines, and then each of us has brought a topic that we're going to discuss at the end of the show. My topic for the week, and this is weird. It's about a doll named Baby Jace. Baby Jace is a doll that just now was like custom made. There's 250 of these like lifelike photorealistic newborn babies being sold, and then the owners of this baby Jace actually just now had a son named Jace, and so they're selling off 250 lifelike babies named Baby Jace, and all of those people who buy the babies can join the family for like tea parties and shit. So they're turning their YouTube family channel, which is kind of where they got their start, into a cottage industry, which, hey, I mean, I guess that's kind of the point. Exploit your kids for YouTube views. But this just takes it to a whole different level. So I'm going to like to hear your thoughts on that. And then this week, your topic is something about Quentin Tarantino, right?
My topic is the topic I stole from you because I
it's a
really
good topic.
It's essentially, women in Quentin Tarantino films and his depiction of them, because the feminist movement tends to hate Quentin Tarantino quite a bit, and it's come back up because of Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
Yeah, I think that we're kind of basing the conversation around one specific article, but that's a sentiment that's shared among several people, a group of people. So I think it'll be cool to dive into because, on one hand, a lot of strong female characters. On the other, they got to endure a bunch of crap, but I won't bury the lead. We'll get there after a little bit. This week in the Worldwide Weird, we're going to kick things off with a couple of McDonald's stories because this week McDonald's is getting weird, and I'm loving it. McDonald's worker fired for refusing to serve paramedics. Quote, "We don't serve your kind here."
I'm assuming, okay, and this is, you will correct me if I'm wrong, I'm assuming this is someone who is probably anti-police, anti-paramedic, just anti-everything, one of these people, for whatever reason.
Yeah, 100%. That's exactly right. I don't know if they misidentified them as police originally, because that was the impression that the paramedic got. They were like, "Whoa, we're not cops. Don't worry about it. We're good. We're not cops." And they were like, "No, we don't serve badges." So this is the craziest kind of discrimination. Like, look, I will admit to my bias that I don't think that cops are necessarily all great. I mean, I will cop to that. I don't want to sit here and make the bold or the broad statement that all cops are pieces of crap, because I know that's not true, but there is a stigma, and I tend to almost have like a bias or a prejudice against cops. That said, paramedics and firemen, what have they ever done except fucking help people? I just can't wrap my head around why you would be anti people that save lives.
I'll take it even one step farther. If they're being robbed, they're going to call. If someone goes in that McDonald's with a gun, you don't think they're going to call cops?
Oh, yeah. They're not anti-badge anymore.
Yeah, they're not a badge. And the vast majority of cops are good.
Mm-hmm.
It's just a couple of bad ones who do some shitty things.
Yep.
And those people should be prosecuted and should be held. Absolutely. But I don't think they're indicative of the whole. But even to take that farther, paramedics have never killed. I mean, they've probably killed one by mistake, like by not saving them.
Yes,
it's different than killing them, but they've never killed anyone. They've never, as far as I know, you're not reading any headlines about paramedic stabs guy in the face while he's bleeding,
right?
Like nothing like that happens.
Yeah, it's weird. It's weird because even like hippies, being against war and maybe not treating veterans or soldiers, military people with respect. okay, there's an ideology behind it. You think that war is bad. Fine, you're expressing yourself, and you think these people are tools to facilitate this thing that you're against. Again, where is the criticism against what it is that paramedics are doing? It's so crazy, and I just can't imagine being in that job and going into an establishment like McDonald's and them saying, we don't serve your kind here.
I just couldn't imagine like any of those professions, firemen, even police, you know what I mean? I know there's this huge stigma about it, but you know, first of all, people talk that usually the same people who are anti all that are very anti-privilege. There is no bigger privilege than having the privilege to be anti-police because you've never needed them in your life.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Or
Yeah.
anti-paramedic. Like that is the biggest. If you're privileged enough to live in a part of town where you've never need the cops because no one's been murdered near you, your house hasn't been robbed, that's the biggest form of privilege you can ever walk around with.
Yeah.
And to take that a step further into fucking paramedics, you ain't doing shit. You know what I mean? You're out there saving lives. You just want a fucking cheeseburger.
Fucking McDonald's. Where do they get off? I mean, I think obviously the people that made that comment have been fired. This was in Florida. Okay, so Sunstar paramedic Anthony Quinn said the fast food worker in Madeira Beach, Florida, refused to serve him and his colleagues after telling both of them, "We don't serve your kind here." He's quotes on Facebook, "I walk into McDonald's just to use the bathroom and an employee goes, 'We don't accept officers in here.' I tell her I'm not an officer. She then says, 'Anyone with a badge.' Then says it to my partner as she walks in to order food. She says, 'We don't serve your kind here.' Quinn said, 'Just how insane are you people?' And then obviously the owners apologized to the paramedics for the employees' actions and said they've been fired. Their quote is, 'We are aware of the unfortunate incident that took place at one of our restaurants last night. We, like you, are upset and disappointed and took immediate action. The employee has been terminated. What occurred does not reflect the value of our brand or franchise or the love and admiration we demonstrated consistently for our friends in law enforcement and first responders. We have reached out to offer our sincerest apologies.'" I mean, I don't think anybody's misreading this as McDonald's is anti fucking badges, right?
No, I mean, I'm sure there are people out there because they're stupid who are reading it that way, who are like, I'm going to boycott McDonald's. Which you're not going to hurt McDonald's. They have enough people coming to it. But it sounds like a couple of stupid, low education employees who weren't the most intelligent, who are extreme and trying to make a statement because everyone's trying to make a statement about everything now, you know, and we're not even informed enough to make the statement that they were trying to make.
And essentially you've come out and become the very thing that you're supposedly like, you know, if the point is anti-discrimination or like cops are being unfair to people, then what are you doing, you know?
Well, and then on top of that, the language they used was "your kind." We don't serve your kind here.
Yeah, heavy dose of irony there.
Yeah,
All
and
right.
you know it's completely lost on them.
So that's not all though. That's not all. Man. This has been a wild week for McDonald's. A police officer claimed McDonald's workers bit into his McChicken. Did you hear about this?
So what happened?
This was big news. Okay, so there's a police officer who he went into work one morning, but before he had to stop and get food for lunch. So like you do, he stopped at McDonald's to buy lunch, to take it into the office, to put it in the refrigerator, to heat it up for lunch. First of all, dude, you're already fucking up. You can't keep McDonald's. That is a rookie fucking move.
Have you ever microwaved McDonald's fries?
It's disgusting, dude.
Oh, it's disgusting.
There's
you gotta
nothing.
Eat McDonald's fresh.
No, yes. After 10 minutes, it's fucking donezo.
Yeah.
Like, it's not even food anymore. Like, whatever edible properties it had, they go away, like, really fast.
I would agree with that. Microwave a McDonald's cheeseburger, it's the worst thing ever on the entire planet.
Oh, man. So, the officer gets ready for his lunch break. He goes, he unbags his sandwich, unwraps it, and he sees there's this huge bite taken out of the fucking chicken sandwich. So, like you would do, he goes and he vents about it on social media, if I'm not mistaken. This is in Indianapolis, by the way. So he posts on social media, or no, he told the news station, even further than that, he says, I know I didn't eat it. No one else was around. You know what? I'm going to the McDonald's to see if they can get that taken care of. So basically, cops have to worry about this. Sometimes people mess with cops' food, and that's messed up. I like I said, any bias, any prejudice I do have, I acknowledge most cops are great. They're just out there doing their job. It's not like all cops are bad guys or just deserve to have their food freaking tampered with. So this news starts to spread, and other like Facebook groups and organizations that are like, affiliated with police and support groups and things like this come out and they're like, why do police officers constantly get targeted for this kind of harassment? Why can't we even just get our food? If anything, we should get free food at these establishments. We shouldn't have to worry about people messing with our stuff. Anyways, this goes on. It starts picking up steam. Turns out the dude took a bite out of his own sandwich and fucking forgot about it. He pulled a Jeremy Branch and he bit his burger, put it up, totally forgot the shit happened, and then went and started blaming McDonald's for it.
Do you think he did that, or do you think because the new trend now of social media is faking crimes, faking like hate crimes,
Yeah.
You see it all over on all sides of the aisle. Do you think he really took a bite out of it and then forgot, or you think he did it and then shit blew up and he was like, oh man, maybe I should walk this back a little bit?
Oh yeah, that's an interesting point. I didn't even think about it. Like, it got ahead of him. He didn't realize how big of a thing it was going to be. When they launched the actual official investigation, he didn't want to be standing there with the smoking gun.
Well, it's like the lady, I'm sure you heard of this, the politician at the Walmart who said that the guy told her to go back to her country.
No.
Okay, so this lady, I forget where she's from. She's a Democrat from like somewhere. She's either like a representative or something. I don't remember. She's at a Walmart. And she's like, this guy, the cashier, this white man, starts yelling at me to go back to because she goes to a line where it's like a 15 or less line or something like that. And she has way more. And he's like, well, this is the 15 or less. And then apparently, according to her, she's like, he starts yelling at me to go home and saying all these racist things. He comes on and he's like, no, it didn't happen. And we have cameras everywhere, so we can show you. And then witnesses came out and were like, not only did it not happen, he's Puerto Rican or something like that. He's Puerto Rican or something. She was actually yelling at him to go back to his country.
Wow.
But she did the same thing, took to social media, and then it blew up. And then what happens when it blows up? The truth comes out. And then she was like, well, he didn't say that per se, and started trying to slowly walk it back. Because this is the new trend. For social media clout, pretend you've been a victim of some sort of harassment.
How weird is that? It's some victim shit, like just trying to...
You have to be insane
to
want to be a victim of something like that.
How weird. Yeah, this story, I think, is so... It's funny because it's indicative to, like, if you live your life with a certain set of expectations, or you feel that you're being viewed a certain way, it's going to give you a chip on your shoulder. Mm-hmm. Like, we've talked about it in terms of if you're overweight, getting an Atkins bar, to like if you're a police officer, you assume that some of these punk ass pot smoking kids are spitting in your burger or fucking wiping their butt with your bun, or you know what I mean? Like, and in that situation, you've got to take it upon yourself to either find a McDonald's that you trust, where you like go to the same one because Jack in the back ain't gonna fuck with your shit, or you don't go to McDonald's. You just fucking bring your own lunch or whatever. But I mean, if I were a police officer, I would definitely be weary about kids fucking with my shit. Would you?
Nah, I really wouldn't. The odds of it actually happening, just kind of like the odds of you running into a cop who's going to actually do something horrible, is slim to none. The odds of you running into an employee who's not just there to work are pretty slim. It could happen to you, but I don't live my life paranoid about the 1%. It's a waste of energy.
So I have many years of service industry experience working from, front of the house jobs as a server is where I spent most of my time in restaurants. But I managed a Subway for several years. I've worked in kitchens as well. And I say all that to say, of all of the years that I've worked in probably over a dozen different restaurants, maybe 10 different restaurants, so it's a lot anyways. Yeah. And more times than not, nobody messed with food. But I can say I saw it at every one of those places at least once.
Oh yeah, I'm sure, and but I'm sure it wasn't just directed at cops. I mean, it was directed at asshole people, random people, because people are terrible. So that happens from time to time.
And more often than not, it would probably be less out of malicious intent and more out of like, oop, I just fucked up, and I'm going to take the easy route to correct this. You know what I mean?
And I've worked in I've only worked in fast food I think twice, and I've saw it happen one time for me personally, and it was because someone was a complete asshole. And was screaming, and they're like, fuck them.
I don't think the movie Waiting helped. I think, if anything, that shit only encouraged people to start doing that shit after they saw the movie.
Oh, I'm sure it did.
I remember it becoming so much worse after fucking Waiting, because they do the most terrible shit in that movie.
Yeah, I would say that, the culture influences entertainment influences culture. I'm sure it went back up.
Well, all right. You'd think we were done. But more McDonald's had a farm. You got to look this up. McDonald's cups inadvertently feature sexual imagery. Mocking ensues. Okay. So where a lot of stories, you hear the headline and you say, oh, that's got to be Florida. You hear McDonald's cup inadvertently features sexual imagery, and you think, oh, that's Japan. That's got to be Japan. And sure enough, in Japan, McDonald's has released a new series of cups for its McFizz sodas, which look delicious, I want to say, just right off the bat. They're like colorful and nice. I want one right now today. I don't know if I have to go to Japan. If that's the case, I probably won't get one. But the cups are supposed to show a young woman and a young man on each side. When you finish the drink, it looks like they're smooching on the lips, but people have found something else entirely.
I'm trying to get this to pull up.
I should send you the link to what I'm looking at.
Is it the Kotaku article?
It's yes. Okay, you are looking at it.
Yeah, it's just taking forever to load for whatever reason. Yeah.
So as you scroll down just like maybe a third of the way, you start to see the post on social media.
Yeah, I'm clicking to go to it. For whatever reason, it didn't load the post. I'm actually clicking to go on the tweet. Okay, I see that, but I don't see it drained. What the heck? There it goes.
So you've got the one on the top, and it shows the guy on one side and the girl on the other.
Oh, I see the one where it's from behind.
Yeah.
The doggy style thing.
Yeah. Turns out it goes both ways. Like, the guy doesn't have to be in front of the girl.
That's pretty funny.
It's pretty ridiculous, and I have to think they had to know.
I could, but I could see this also be just a gross oversight, where they're like, holy crap. I always think, idiocy explains a lot of things, a lot of times more than malice does or intent.
Yeah, I can 100% agree with you there.
That's pretty
the picture
funny,
above it, like with the red stuff in the bottom, it creates like a gross imagery of like a girl on her moon. Wow, that was a really hippie way to say on her period.
On her moon? No, let's unpack this. On her moon?
Yeah, my bad.
I've never said that in their entire life. Is that a thing?
Yeah. You've never heard that before?
No, I've never heard on her moon. I'm totally using that now. Next time, just because of being an extra asshole, if Joey's just being grumpy, I'm going to be like, are you on your moon? That's what I'm going to say.
That's so funny. I don't know if people actually say it.
Oh, this is better than the story itself.
Oh, shit.
The mic.
The moon cycle and the menstrual cycle. Cycle harmony. Hold up. I'm telling you, it's got to be some new age hippie shit. And I don't know where I got it from. I'm embarrassed now. Similar to the moon cycle, a woman's menstrual cycle changes from the menstruation of new growth to the ovulation of full power and blossom to the premenstrual phase of harvest and degeneration back to the menstruation of renewal again. So yeah, it's some hippie shit.
Yeah.
All right.
The moon. I love it.
It's like ladies turning into werewolves.
Yeah, you're on your moon.
I want the drinks though. But yeah, okay. So it looks like period blood. That's the more crass way of saying it. And then there's like a lemonade with the dude in it, and the immediate association is urine, right?
I didn't get either of those from that. I just saw lemonade.
All right, man. You can fucking hang me out to dry. It's fine. It's fine. My contributions to this story have been great. And I don't know, unless you got anything else to say about that, I guess we'll just...
No, I think the on the moon stole the conversation.
All right,
over the moon about that conversation. There. My cheesy contribution.
Well, and before we wrap this thing up, this story transitions us nicely from one segment into the next. Florida man pulls a gun on a woman who refused to try his vape pen at a McDonald's parking lot. Boom.
McDonald's is the Walmart of fast food, isn't it?
It's crazy. This week they have just been on a roll, man. And there was one about a 10-year-old boy that that carjacked his mom's car to go down and get burgers and got in a car accident and was fine. That didn't even make it onto the fucking news because I didn't think it was weird enough. Worthy. No. No. St. Augustine resident Kyle McGill Walker was arrested by St. Johns County Sheriff's Office on Friday after he allegedly pulled a gun out on a woman at McDonald's, according to CBS 47. According to the report, the victim said she was approached by Walker when he asked her if she wanted to take a hit from his vape pen. When she refused, he said, "Are you serious, bro?" and flashed a gun to her. What the fuck? And began saying, "What's up now? What's up now?" Wow. I don't even know how something escalates like that.
If only that McDonald's had been serving a bunch of police and they'd been around.
I mean, what? Like, no, dude, nobody wants to hit your vape pen. Calm the fuck down.
I'm assuming, and this is me always filling in the blanks of like, how did this get to this point? I'm assuming for whatever he found this girl attractive, and that is his in. It's like, you want to try my vape, bro? That was his in. And then she shot him down, and he couldn't handle the rejection, and he freaked the fuck out.
No, I'm digging your psychological profile. I sign off on that. I bet you're exactly right. Well, he was probably fucked up too, right?
Oh, yeah, probably. He was fucked up going to McDonald's to get some food.
And I don't understand where he went wrong. I mean, normally strangers, if you can bet one thing, it's that a stranger wants to hit your vape pen. Like,
I think that's probably the best pickup line ever.
Yeah. You know? And I like, "Are you serious, bro?" Like, what? Who are you even talking to?
That's the equivalent of literally walking up to a stranger and be like, "You want to try my soda?" Like, you know,
yeah.
Like, no, I don't want to try your soda, you weirdo.
Yo, girl, this juicy fruit tastes good. Yeah. You want this?
You want my juice box?
Oh, shit. That's scary, though. Like, that's scary. And that, like you said, you don't live your life according to the 1% of assholes out there. But, like, this is one of those situations where, like, earpods would come in handy. You can just shut out the rest of the world, and people can't address you. But then I guess you're, like, compromising your spatial awareness, though, too.
No, literally, I just ignore people. Like, when people walk up to me and be like, "Hey, can I have money?" I pretend they don't exist. That's what I do.
Do you really?
Like, yeah. If you just pretend they don't exist, they'll just not bother you. Or like crazy people on the street, they'll be like, "Hey," and you just keep walking and they don't say anything. But if you engage with them, you can get into some trouble. I've gotten into trouble by by trying to be nice to crazy people.
Yeah, man. I'm really bad about that. Like, I'm really bad about, like, acknowledging everybody, like, walking down the street. And normally my thing with, like, homeless people, it's really easy nowadays to just be like, "Man, I don't carry cash. Yes. Hope you have a good day, though." You know what I mean? Like, I've never, but then there's always those people that want more than just the casual interaction that are going to fucking follow you or say, like you said, getting in trouble by acknowledging somebody. Like, if you would have never made eye contact with them, they would have never fucking singled you out.
Yep.
And a lot of people do say that, like, you know, they wear headphones even if they're not listening to anything to make them seem less approachable, you know?
That makes perfect sense. I know I used to be the type who So I used to go to Seattle all the time. Huge homeless population. Used to always give money. I remember one time I had this nice, it was after I lost all the weight, this nice leather jacket. It was just too big, and it's raining out and it's cold. And I walk into another store to buy a jacket. I'm like, this is just uncomfortable. And there was this guy. He was a crazy guy who was always on the corner of like First and Pike, always there. And he had a shirt that said, "I need a fat bitch." Always like written on it, homeless man. And he would scream it at people. Obviously mental issues. And so he and it's freezing out. So I'm like, yo, this dude's in a t-shirt that's wet that says "I need a fat bitch" on permanent marker on it. Like, this dude needs, like, he's gonna die out here. So I buy a new jacket for me and I go give it to him. And he was really nice. He really was. He wasn't aggressive, And he puts on the jacket and is like, "Thank you, brother. Thank you." So excited. And then he takes it off and throws it on the ground and stands there in the soaking wet rain afterwards.
Wow.
And then I see him on the way back. And so I'm literally coming back and I go, "Hey, man." He's still not wearing the jacket. It's on the floor next to him. I go, "Hey, man," trying to be nice. Then, because he's a crazy person and he sees me and he remembers that we had an interaction, starts screaming at me,
Oh, shit.
And I was like, oh, yeah, but these are people, and not even talking shit. These are people with actual mental issues.
Yeah. Past couple days, Florida's been letting me down, man.
Florida never lets down.
I should say past couple weeks. I feel like we're at this lull in interesting Florida man headlines, and I'm going to need you guys to step it up. If we're going to continue to have this segment, we need Floridians doing weird shit. So if you can't find weird news segments to send us, then I highly recommend you going out there and committing weird news crimes so that we can discuss them on the show. But I did find this. Florida man arrested after writing anti-gay remark on restaurant receipt and stuffing it down manager's blouse before fleeing scene. Solid, right?
Yeah, that's a pretty good one.
So this is from Fox News. One Florida man was recently apprehended by police for writing anti-gay remarks on his waiter's receipt after dining at a local restaurant, stuffing the bill down the manager's blouse when confronted and fleeing the scene. Wow, that sounds like the headline again. Weird. Okay, so Frederick Sterry Smith and his female companion finished their meal at Milagro on 12 Latin Kitchen in St. Augustine before things quickly took a turn for the worse. Where there was a line for a tip, he said he left nothing and said maybe if they weren't gay or if he wasn't gay on the bill. So the male waiter sees this and goes and notifies the female manager of the offensive note. The manager proceeds to approach the man outside the establishment, which, let's be honest, she should not have fucking done that. You let the bigot leave the scene and you fucking write it off. That's the end. Because what are you going to do? You know what I mean? Go out and say, "Hey, that wasn't very nice of you." Obviously, this guy doesn't give a fuck. Well, yeah. When he approached her in the parking lot and says, "Hey, why did you do that?" The guy gets super defensive, starts berating her and cussing at her. And then he snatches the receipt out of her hand, rips it up, grabs her collar, pulled her shirt open, and shoves the torn check down her shirt, touching her breast with his hand. The manager reportedly screamed that it was an assault as the aggressor drove away. Law enforcement officials were contacted. The police tracked the man down within an hour. And his female companion, he replied, "I can say whatever I want to whoever I want." And his female companion said, "We didn't touch her," referencing the restaurant manager. Wow.
Yeah, don't engage with crazy people. Just let them go.
Yeah, that kind of goes back to what we were just now talking about. I mean, as a manager, what would you hope to accomplish out of doing that?
At the end of the day, too, and this is the same thing, like the whole thing of if you've worked retail and they tell you if you're being robbed, we have insurance, let them take them. Mm-hmm. Your safety is more important than a stupid receipt that says something racist.
Yeah. Yeah, 100%.
Guess what? That person's going to be racist when they leave and crazy when they leave, regardless of what interaction you have with them.
Yeah, and that's not to diminish the original offense. That's really fucked up for that guy to stiff a server in general. They work hard for that fucking $4 an hour that they make without tips. They rely on tips. Like the first scene of Reservoir Dogs. That is such a good scene in a movie where they're discussing tips, you know?
Great scene.
Yeah. And so I've always, as somebody who worked in the service industry, I've always been very like empathetic towards waiters and always try to take good care of the service people. And I just don't understand how this guy has made it so many years in his life in Florida and not like encountered gay waiters before.
That's my thing is when I meet people who are like super homophobic in 2019 and I'm like, yeah, I understand like being homophobic, but like you think you would at least get desensitized to it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like you think you're like, even if you have an issue, you think you'd be like, well, I have an internal issue, but it's whatever. I'm not going to take on the entire world because you're exposed. In 2019, you're exposed to gay people quite often.
Yeah, I just like whatever the manager's intention was by tracking him down, I can't understand what his intention was to like, okay, just stiff the guy. They don't need a fucking excuse from you. You're a piece of shit. Like, just write that in the line. I'm a piece of shit. And that's going to be like, it's what you're saying anyways. Like, just, if you're going to stiff him, just stiff him. He can, because back to the thing about people kind of having a chip on their shoulder because what they're used to because of their set of circumstances, all the guy would have had to do was stiff him and he would have known why. He would have known why because there's assholes out there like that will do things just because of your sexuality, you know?
Yep, I agree. You know, just stiff him. It's bad enough to do it, but over someone's sexuality, it's ridiculous. It's one of those things that really bothers me when I see someone like that. I'm like, did he give you good service? If the dude was an asshole, fine, attack him for being an asshole. Server. And then write that in there. Be nice in your tip. I've done that before. Yeah. You know? Yeah. But that's because the person's an asshole. It has nothing to do with who they are as a person.
Yeah. Not a funny story, but do you think, okay, because of the way that he reacted, is that sexual assault?
Yeah, I would say so.
Yeah, it's got to be, right?
I would say, you're grabbing someone's boob. I'd say that's sexual assault.
I think they charged him with something, but I don't think it was sexual assault. I think it was like general battery or something like that. Let me see if I can't find it real quick. Charged with simple battery, booked in St. Johns County Sheriff's Office, $500 bail. Wow, he got it easy.
Yeah, he did.
All right, well, from one not very funny Florida man headline to another, this one hit real close to home. A lot of these stories I'll find are from Pensacola, and this one, again, not funny. The reason why I am even discussing this is because of its proximity to me and my friend Holden. Pensacola businessman arrested after professing love to a 12-year-old girl. Okay, so here's the story. A 59-year-old Pensacola businessman is being accused of having an ongoing relationship with a 12-year-old girl, according to an arrest report. The PPD responded to a call on Monday, the 29th, in reference to an inappropriate relationship between an adult and a minor child. An unidentified person stated that in the report that the victim and 59-year-old Clarence Stephen Brown may have been in an ongoing relationship since December 2018. A woman in the report stated that her first inclination of the suspicious relationship between Brown and the victim was sometime before Christmas when the victim spent the night at Brown's residence. According to the report, the victim told the woman that she had slept in his bed, but he slept on the couch. But from that time, the victim wasn't allowed at Brown's residence. On May 6th, the victim snuck out of her residence in the middle of the night, and while she was being searched for, a neighbor reported seeing a white SUV which stood out to them. The victim told the woman in the report she denied meeting anyone and was just out for a walk. However, it was later discovered that Brown actually drove a white SUV. So there's been rumors going on at this 12-year-old girl's school about her being in a relationship with an older man. So this was like starting to get out. It wasn't just between the two of them anymore. And the phone was turned over. He had to give up his phone to the police, where they discovered hundreds of phone calls to his phone and from their house. When the woman confronted the victim, she admitted to calling Brown and said they spoke every day. PPD interviewed the victim on July 30th, and during the interview, she admitted that she calls Brown and advised that she loves him and wants to marry him. Let's see, what else is fucked up? Okay, she sent topless pictures to his cell phone. he said he never calls her, but they talk on the phone a lot, saying basically that he called her or that she called him.
His defense is, she called me. Well, you're a grown ass man.
Yeah, you just
block her number, tell her don't fucking call me.
No doubt. Let's see. Basically, she says that she wanted to get married to him. He says he wants to get married to her. When they searched his phone search history, he had Googled which state can a girl get married at 16, which state can a girl get married at the earliest age. He also searched how to delete messages on Snapchat and lewd and lascivious conduct in Florida. So you know what you're doing is wrong.
He's very well aware. This is calculated.
And obviously, without a Google search, you know what you're doing is wrong. He knew he was committing lewd and lascivious acts against a minor. Okay, so why are we discussing this story? Around December 2018, my good friend Holden and I, Holden's a pretty big YouTuber. Everybody in fucking Pensacola knows him because he does a lot of like Pensacola related videos. He was doing a series where he featured local businesses, local up-and-comers that were kind of part of the community, and he would interview them, showcase their business. We would go and have some sort of interaction with them. And I did several of those videos in the series with him, including one at DeLuna Winery. DeLuna Winery is a local... they call themselves a winery, but they didn't brew wine. They didn't have a vineyard. They were like getting this really weird, very Kool-Aid-y tasting shitty wine and selling it. And some people in the community liked it. Most people didn't. They also turned the property where DeLuna Winery is into like a venue, like a space for weddings and events and things like that. So Holden and I, we got to know this guy pretty well, superficially well, you know what I mean? But
you know him, but you're not like buddies with him.
Correct. But I remember after because we did like a wine taste test while we were there for the video, and I didn't say it on film, but I said it to Holden. I was like, this tastes like what you give to girls in high school when you want to get them drunk, but they don't like the taste of alcohol, because it was like Kool-Aid, just the grossest fucking wine. It tasted like 100% sugar, but that was like a red flag. And then also like he really wanted me and Holden to like throw parties at this event space and like come and hang out with him and all this stuff. So I did get the impression that like he was a little young minded and like he wanted to hang out with people that were quite a bit younger than him. But
how old was he?
60.
What the fuck? 60-year-old man. I mean, with a 12-year-old girl, anything older than 13 is too much, you know?
Yep.
This is one of those things like I would be totally fine with, and this is going to sound harsh, like castration on someone like this. Like you want to go after a child, sorry, you pay the harshest crime. Yeah,
I can't disagree with you either. It's like, however you rationalize something like this in your head, there's something not right about your brain. Like you have a sickness, you've been afflicted by something, and it's obvious that you can't make the right decisions in these kind of situations. And you know, go ahead.
You're seeing a push, and this is a very small push. I don't want to make it sound like it's big, but you're seeing a very small push of like pedophiles now trying to say like it's a sexuality, you know, and you're seeing like that movement try to start up. It's very small. I don't want to like be like scare tactics news, obviously. It's very small, but you see people who, in order to think that, which this guy probably thinks it's, I mean, he obviously thinks it's wrong if he's Googling, but they're mentally ill. You have to be mentally ill to go after a child. I mean, you just have to be. That being said, it's one of those things, I don't give a fuck if you're mentally ill. Like, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
You know, like I don't know. I don't care what's happened to you. I don't care what prompted you to feel that way. I don't care if hurt people. You know, at the end of the day, you're an adult and you have to be an adult no matter what happened. And going after a 12-year-old girl is the most disgusting thing on the planet.
So if you're 25 years old and you meet this 17-year-old girl who's super mature for her age, and you start a platonic, non-sexual relationship with her and the two of you fall in love and you don't act on that at all until she turns 18, hey, that's the fucking system. That's totally legal. And a 17-year-old girl, can look like an adult, like, or a woman, you know what I mean? Where like a 12-year-old is very distinctly a child. Yeah, man. Yeah, a baby. And
like when I see a 12-year-old, it's a little girl. That's what I see.
Yeah. It's so bizarre. And I don't know how it got to this point in the first place, but I do what kind of the biggest revelation from my perspective is like, fuck, dude, I thought I was a good judge of character, and here I am in the presence of this person who I'm having a totally normal conversation with, who I think is an alright dude, and it turns out he's a complete fucking sicko.
So I can relate to that on a different note. A good buddy of mine, I won't put him on blast, he's locked up for life, so it doesn't matter. Got out of prison, needed a place to stay, and I'm like, hey man, it was just circumstances. I let him stay with me. One day he doesn't come home. Find out he murdered 3 people. That's why he didn't come home.
Holy shit.
And this was a dude who was like in my home.
That's crazy.
It's one of those things you're like, I knew he was a gangster. I knew he was like, but I'm not, when you grow up with someone, you try to justify them. You try to justify their behavior. You're like, oh, okay, they're not that bad. And he met my wife, and Joey was even like, man, he's such a nice guy. And then when she heard the news, she's like, him of all people? Like he like murdered 3 people, then kidnapped another person and duct taped them and beat them.
Holy shit. That's
like crazy
serious.
Crimes. Yeah, like real deal. And he's away for life now at this point because, even though I know the dude, he should be. If you do something like that, you should be away for life. You're obviously not safe enough to be out on the streets. And it's crazy how you can sit in a room and talk to someone for hours and hours and hours, and you don't know what they're capable of on the inside.
Yeah, that's unreal. And that is like the most extreme case of a similar, that's kind of how I felt, is just like, you pride yourself in being able, like, if there's something wrong with this person, my intuition should be able to let me know, but not always the case. And I think that's also a symptom of certain sorts of psychological dispositions where they're able to be charming, they're able to freaking catch you off guard and get your defenses down and things like that. But yeah, it's a shame. I think it's also pretty terrible that it looks like he could face a maximum of only 5 years for
only 5 years?
Yeah.
Fuck.
Yeah.
That to me is just, there's something wrong with our system if someone like that can face only 5 years, and people who smoke weed go way longer than that.
So in the comment section, when WEAR, the local news, shared the story, in the comment section immediately, people are sharing links to the video that Holden and I did with the guy, and other people commenting underneath it. The link doesn't work. The link doesn't work because Holden messaged me at like 2:00 in the afternoon to tell me that it happened. And I said, you fucking pull that video right now. You know what I mean? And he's like, okay, I wanted to ask you about it because it was so long ago. I didn't know if people would even realize it. And I didn't even know, but I knew that because it's a small town, people were going to reference that video immediately. And sure enough, they dug it out like instantly. It's just shit lives forever on the internet.
It wouldn't, I don't think, make either of you look bad. No. But there are a percentage of people who just being around a person, even interviewing them, somehow makes you guilty, of everything too. And
if nothing else, like, we didn't have to get rid of it. I just think the only obligation that I feel like we had is to distance ourselves from the person. It's not that we did anything wrong. It's just that in order to rectify the situation and do our part, it's just like, we don't want anything to do with this guy. We don't want to spread his name or we just don't want to be connected or attached to him. And so
I agree.
Yeah. So that was a fucking crazy story that happened just a couple days ago, and literally right around the same time frame that we were hanging out with this dude. And then here's a story that I've got to put a spin on. I can't say anything that would incriminate anyone here in the area, so I'm going to say it like this. A woman who I know works at a hotel, and at this hotel here in Florida, A guest was checking in to their room on the 7th floor. They get in, they put their bags down. They're going to go to the restroom. They open up the bathroom door. They turn on the light. And in the bathtub is a 3.5-foot python just chilling in their fucking bathtub. So, of course, they freak out. They close the door. They stuff towels underneath it. And they do what anybody would do. They call the front desk and they say, hey, there's a fucking huge snake in our bathtub. And they're like, oh my God, we're so sorry. We're going to send the maintenance crew up there immediately to take care of this. The maintenance crew gets up there. They open up the bathroom door. The fucking thing is gone. It has totally disappeared. So there is a 3.5-foot python roaming the drainage pipes of this popular hotel.
Holy shit.
That's crazy, right?
I'd probably do the same thing. I'd be, get the hell out of there and call maintenance.
Yeah, I mean, I have no idea how I would react. That's horrifying. It's really scary, and I'm not like super freaked out by snakes. That said, if you see it in somewhere it's clearly not supposed to be, you're gonna fucking react to it.
Oh yeah, it's not like you're walking outside and you see a snake and you're like, okay, I'm just gonna avoid it at all costs.
Yeah, this is not a snake's natural habitat.
No.
It opens up so many questions, like, how did a ball python get into a fucking hotel? Like, you think it was a pet?
That was my first thing. I was like, I thought you were going to go with like, it was someone's pet and they were putting it in the tub just to like store it while they worked or something, was the first thing I thought. But I don't know. Maybe it was a resident who did it and then lost it. I mean, a customer who brought it with them and put it in somewhere and then it was gone. And when they checked out, left it, or I don't know. I mean, are pythons, are they natural to Florida?
They weren't.
Oh.
No, they weren't. But now we do have a population of them, but they're mostly in like way, way, way South Florida, like near the Everglades, you know, down in the swampland. But only because they can thrive in this climate. They were pets, and now that they've been released into the wild, yeah, we've got them, but not on our beach. That is so weird. And if it were on the first floor, even, it's like, okay, this is random. Somebody's ball python got in here, but to think that it's like 7 stories up. It's just so unusual. And I always thought, this is just my ignorance, that like plumbing, the pipes were full of water, but the pipes are full of air and the toilets are full of water. And when you flush the toilet, that couple gallons of water goes through the pipes and then it empties out again. So what happens in theory is that these snakes follow rodents up through the pipes as a food source. And sometimes they'll pop out wherever there's an exit. And this isn't an isolated incident. We've covered stories before where a person comes home and there's a python sitting in the bottom of their fucking toilet. And other kinds of snakes as well, dude. There was like a guy in Thailand who got bit on the balls by a fucking snake. And so it happens, but it is just such an anomaly. And yeah, I don't know, man. What if you went to a hotel? Not what would you do as far as how would you deal with the snake. What would you expect from the hotel?
So I'd expect them to call animal services and get rid of that thing and then probably comp the room.
Comp the room?
Which I don't know if I would want to even stay there after that.
Yeah, I mean, it would be one thing if they went in there and they caught the snake and they were like, oh, here we go. We got rid of the problem. But the fact that like it could whack-a-mole pop up in your other bathroom too because you don't know where the fucking thing's at. Not very reassuring.
No, I think this sounds terrifying.
This one didn't make the news, obviously, because if you can control that kind of information from getting out about your hotel, it's helpful.
Yeah. So this is a People Are Terrible exclusive.
This is exclusive.
Oh,
yeah.
Snap. You could have broke the story and said names and everything.
Yeah. Just that would have been terrible. All right. Well, so yeah, I think we've talked a little bit too much about everything related to Florida and McDonald's. So let's go ahead and move on to the week's topics. You want to kick it off?
So pretty much, I'm taking a spin on the article per se. You know, you sent me a BuzzFeed News article that broke down every character, and we can reference this if we'd like, from Quentin Tarantino films, every female character. Essentially, and I saw this clip a long time ago, this journalist in the crowd of an interview is like, hey, you know, You have Margot Robbie, who is a great actress, and I concur. I, Tonya is a phenomenal film.
So good.
Oh, such a good film, and she stills it. She's a phenomenal actress. And so this journalist is saying, "Hey, you have Margot Robbie, who is a phenomenal actress, and she has like no lines in your movie." And essentially, the implication is it's because she's sexist. And Quentin Tarantino did exactly what I think he should have done. He's like, "I disagree, and I reject your hypothesis," which I think is the proper response. Instead of defending it, he's like, I disagree. I think you're wrong. And anytime a Quentin Tarantino film comes out, we know this. We're both movie buffs. There's always the same group who gets angry about women in his films, and particularly the way they're treated. I personally feel like he's kind of all over the board with, I'm not even just saying women, just with characters and the way they're treated and the way they're portrayed. Most of Quentin Tarantino's characters are not good people. That's kind of his shtick.
Right.
And most of his characters endure some pretty horrific stuff throughout their movies.
Right.
I feel like it's selective to notice it only when it applies to the women, when that's kind of his whole thing.
You know, that article mentions something that at least is worth exploring. Violence on women carries baggage of its own. And I don't know for better or worse, but it's like, it seems like for certain audience, violence against women is magnified. Probably to women, I guess, more than anything. It's kind of that thing we were talking about the other day where like it's all fun and games until the joke's about you. And I agree with your assessment that Quentin Tarantino's characters, like, while I don't think Quentin Tarantino's characters need to be representative of the group that Quentin Tarantino's exploring with the character. Like, I don't think Margot Robbie is a stand-in for the voice of the female community. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
And that's where I think these people miss the mark, is that these characters are tools to tell a story, not surrogates for the minority or the group that they happen to be a part of. And that's something I've had a big problem with film criticism in the past several years, is this whole focus on the implications, the social meanings and reasonings and everything behind it. Because, yeah, let's not beat around the bush. Beatrix Kiddo, she was sexually assaulted over and over and over again when she was in the coma. She was murdered and brutalized, or almost murdered and brutalized, on her wedding day. That's all extreme shit. Let's also not pretend like Marcellus Wallace wasn't raped by a fucking gimp in Pulp Fiction. Like,
exactly.
He's equal opportunity offender. And yeah, we could say, yes, Quentin Tarantino, he perpetuates stereotypes. He uses racist jargon in his movies. Can I defend it? That's not even what I'm here to do. I'm not here to defend what Quentin Tarantino does is right or wrong. I'm just here to defend that as an artist, he should be able to make those decisions, and then the audience gets to decide whether or not they are on board with it.
Well, here's my thing is, as someone, I will use for my own experience. I was telling you, I'm writing a book right now. There are characters of all races and all this in it. And my main character is of Japanese descent. He's not representative of the whole Japanese culture. He's literally, you plug any character in that role and it would be the same character, you know? Mm-hmm. But I'm sure people could look at that and be whatever. I also have his best friend is a black man, and he's one of my friends that I grew up with, like in my head, you know? Uh-huh. And the dialogue is written exactly the way my friend speaks. So there is the N-word half the time when he talks, because I'm picturing someone who I know. Even the way I describe him, he looks like this dude, because you draw from what you know. Mm-hmm. And I feel like if you attack everything from that perspective, you can pick and choose stuff of how it represented it, even if the artist who created it did not mean that to represent
right.
That. You can apply meaning to something that they didn't apply meaning to.
And in a way, not in a way, that's 100% fair for you to deduce it the way that you do. Everybody's viewing is just as valid when it comes to criticism, I believe. I think that if that's the way that you're watching movies and that's the lens that you choose to view things from, that's fair. But it does get back to the idea of like, is it amplified when it's women? Do you feel like because of subjugation or because of the patriarchy that people should be more sensitive of the way that they treat women?
So here's my thing that I think cracks me up so much is people say, we need more female leads or we need more this, which I actually concur, and then that female lead goes through drama because guess what? That's what lead characters do.
Yes.
And then they're like, whoa, you can't treat her that way. Do you want equality or do you want special treatment? Because if you want to be represented on the same level that men are in film and told stories from that lens, then your character is going to go through trials, and some of them are going to be really harsh depending on the creator. And Quentin Tarantino is a perfect example. The characters go through. Look at Django. When you look at Django himself and you look at his wife, those both endure some horrific things throughout that movie. Both of them do.
Yeah.
Because you need them. Now, if you flip that and it was a movie about her finding her husband, they guess what? Would both be going through horrific things because that's what the movie's about.
Yeah.
And if you're the type of person who is so woke that you view everything this way, I challenge you to write an interesting story where no one does anything offensive, where no character says anything that's offensive, and more importantly, let's do it. Your female lead character goes through no trials or no drama because you don't want her to be heard. You're not going to have a story. That's just not how storytelling works.
Yeah, I agree with you. And I feel like it really depends on how you frame the movie a lot of times with the marketing and all of that stuff ahead of time is going to change the way that people perceive it. And like we've talked about before, the difference between Akira and Captain Marvel, or Alita and Captain Marvel. But Quentin Tarantino's never misguiding audiences as to what it is they're seeing. If you are familiar with his work, he is a very big fan of 1970s exploitation films, whether we're talking blaxploitation, whether we're talking rape revenge. Like, he really likes the sleazy exploitation movies from the 1970s, and his films reflect that. I am not as big a fan of the movies that he's influenced by as I am a fan of him, but I very much know where he's coming from because I'm somebody that went down and explored your Cannibal Holocaust, your freaking Switchblade Sisters, like all of those movies, So I don't want Quentin Tarantino to be beholden to this new era of political correctness. I think that he's always been a confrontational filmmaker who just didn't give a fuck, and that's one of the reasons why he's resonated with the audience that he's resonated with. And when you say the characterizations are all over the place, I'm trying to think of, like, there are black characters who perpetuate very negative stereotypes in the same movie that Jackie Brown is easily the most altruistic and sympathetic character, well-developed character. Like you look at Samuel L. Jackson versus Pam Grier in Jackie Brown, and it's like, which of these people is supposed to be representative of their entire group? Neither of them, because they're characters within a story.
Well, I feel like sometimes, and here's my gut, I don't know Tarantino, just from his body of work, I'm assuming the guy's not sexist or racist in the least. Samuel Jackson's defended him numerous times. Like, what the hell are you guys talking about? Uma Thurman, even with the whole thing of her driving, isn't her daughter or something in like one of the new films?
Yeah.
So you can't hate him that much, Sometimes, and I'm probably guilty of this because I feel like you and me do not see the world through a identity lens. We don't see people's race, gender, sexuality, all that. We don't care. And so if someone like ourselves is writing a story, we're just going to create a character. It's not representative. It's just someone I'm picturing. This is how they look. This is how they act. And because of not viewing that world, essentially because you're so not racist, essentially,
Yeah.
that you can write something that other people view differently. And you're like, whoa, what are you talking about, dude? Like, I didn't think about it that way because I don't really give a shit about this stuff, or sex. I don't really care. Like, I don't feel like someone's gender is necessarily the defining thing about them. Like,
Right.
a perfect Alita. I don't think of Alita as a strong woman film. It's just a pretty cool sci-fi movie.
Yeah. Yeah.
Alien, another one. It's when I think of Ripley, I'm not like, oh, she's a strong, empowered woman and she represents all women. No, she's just a cool chick in a movie.
It's also like, is Woody Allen racist because he writes what he knows? Like, if Woody Allen had to force a black character into every one of his movies, would he be able to draw upon, like, what experience would he have to be able to flesh out any characters in a way that was convincing or meaningful if it doesn't speak to his life experience, And 100%. That's something that I also always go back to is, like, as a screenwriter, if you are, let's just say, a white, Caucasian, female writer, you're probably going to be able to flesh out your female white characters better than you would like a fucking Hawaiian guy character if you've never met anybody from Hawaii. The only reason I say that is because it feels like now you have to take your script and give it to some third party and say, hey, is there enough inclusion in this story? Have I ticked all my boxes? Have I made sure the representation is in a positive light of each of these characters? Because we've all got our own blind spots. And that's when I feel like art starts to get diluted, is when we have to start taking all of this secondary crap into consideration.
Well, and I think you hit the nail on the head. You write what you know. What I'm writing right now, it's predominantly male because it's based around like gangs and stuff. It's very much drawing. It's a sci-fi book, but it's very much drawing from what I knew, drawing from characters in my life. And there's the other side of that. So here's the thing that always bothers me is people go, hey, we want more inclusion. We want more races. Okay. Then a white man writes more different races or writes a different gender or a different orientation. They're like, well, you don't understand that person enough to write them.
Yeah.
And you're like, okay, so which is it? Do you want me to include them? Then you don't understand them. So you're like, okay, fine. I'll just write about what I know, which is I'm a white dude. I guess I'll make my meal with all white dudes. Well, then you're not including people. And there's a cycle of, no matter if you want to be offended, you can find anything offensive. I can put on any movie. If we should do it sometime. If we could figure out a way to live stream, watch a movie together, and just to rip it apart of how offensive it is. We'll pick like the most children-friendly, non-offensive film we can find. Guarantee you can find stuff if you're looking through that lens.
I think that's a great idea. I actually really like that. So all right, let's specifically dig into it, kind of like that list did. Let's look at The Bride. I think she's like a pretty good place to start as far as is she a feminist character, or is she a I don't know, what's the opposite of is she a misogynist character? Well, how do you define what makes a strong female character? I guess we'll start there. I define a strong female character as a strong character that happens to be female.
I would agree. And I define a strong character as someone who overcomes adversity,
regardless of what that adversity is.
Yes.
Do you think that subjecting a female character to brutalization for her to become that fully formed woman, is that a cheap way to connect? Is that a cheap way to elicit empathy from an audience?
Yes, just as much when you watch someone get beaten or wrongfully accused or whatever, or their whole family die when they're male. These are all cheap tricks. That's what movies are.
Yeah, I 100% agree with that. That's kind of the thing. If that's what the movie is designed to be, like Kill Bill is a revenge saga. It's like this odyssey for vengeance. Would it have been as strong of a character if it were the groom instead of the bride? Well, that would open up the whole other side of the conversation of fridging the female character, where you just have a female character so that she can be murdered, so that the male protagonist can have his his vengeance, and it's all been built. So everything is problematic. There's no way to sidestep that movies in this genre, they're exploitation movies.
So when you think about, okay, John Wick, it's about his wife dying and his dog dying, you know, and then he goes on a revenge plot. Then you think about Kill Bill. It's about her going on a revenge film. Both of these can be controversial. Both of them can be. Like you said, it can just, she's either set dressing and she's not a true defined character and therefore she's only used as motivation, or you do exactly what they want and be like, why isn't she the main character? Why isn't she the one going on the revenge? And then she's being attacked and assaulted and we can't have violence against women. You got to choose one. You have to choose, you know, which of these are you okay with? Here, my thing is, I'm okay with what the story that the person wants to tell. If it's horribly offensive, then whatever, you know, I just won't watch it.
Yeah.
They still have every right to make it.
Yeah. Yeah, it's just interesting because it is so, like, obviously there's nothing that any filmmaker could do that's going to, you know, please everybody, please the whole masses. And you hadn't seen Once Upon a Time in Hollywood yet?
No, I was trying to go last weekend, or maybe today I'll try to go.
So I don't want to give anything away, but I felt like Margot Robbie is she's more of a symbol. It's more about what she represents than her as a character. That said, every time she's on screen, she's just like this bright fucking light. Like, you can't take your eyes off of her. She's completely transfixing, obviously because she's gorgeous, but then also just the way that Tarantino shoots her, like just the energy that exudes from her. And I think that she does what was asked of her as far as what the role demands. I think she freaking nailed it. She was able to elevate a line, a role that really doesn't have a lot of lines, because she was more of an idea. And I think that that came across really well, where if you look at a movie like Inglourious Bastards, I can't think of what her name is right now, but that actress, such a fucking fantastic character.
Yes, great character. What is her name?
And while it's still a revenge story, it's done in a much different way than your Kill Bill, where it's not like she's not this, you know, just total martial arts badass. She's not exceptional, skilled as a fighter or any of those things that are like tropes of martial arts movies and things like that. It's a different approach to a revenge story, and I feel like Jackie Brown is another different approach to a revenge story, all told from a female perspective, all done in a way that's different enough to where they're not all just filling the same archetypal characters.
My thing, I feel like the thing that why Quentin Tarantino gets himself into trouble sometimes is because, ironically, and this is kind of what I was saying, I feel like he goes out of his way to write strong women, you know?
Yeah.
Like, he has more female leads than a lot of directors who've done this shit forever have. You know? Like, I don't know. I'm assuming I would have to go down the list. But, like, off the top of my head, you know, someone is, I don't want to say, as a director, but I'm going to know. But a lot of directors, you know, who are well known, most of the characters are men. You know? And they're all male leads. So Quentin Tarantino writes female leads, and what happens, instead of being praised for it, he gets attacked for it. It's lunacy to me.
And, you know, we can take this same kind of ideologue perspective across different genres and look at, you know, like the horror movies. They're very much centered around this meek girl with moral, like virtuous morals, gets victimized, watches all of her friends get murdered around her, finally gets empowered by being subjected to so much trauma, and then basically turns the tables on the killer. And it's that same idea of like, should the girl have to endure trauma to come out the other side transformed? And I think that's very, like, that's a story arc. That idea, like, whatever the catalyst is, the events of the story has to change the character. That's an arc. And within the confines of the revenge genre, within the confines of the slasher movie genre, there's certain expectations, and that's kind of the journey that the characters take.
Can you, off the top of your head, and I can't, but can you, off the top of your head, think of any male lead movie where the character does not overcome adversity or trauma?
No, I mean, that's storytelling. Even if it's something as simple as the guy loses his job and now he's got to go out and learn how to, get in touch with his true self or whatever. Like,
like the movies like where the guy walks in, he finds his wife's cheating on him and his whole life falls apart and he has to rediscover who he is.
Mm-hmm.
And, like, that's what storytelling is. You don't want to read a story about a guy or a woman going to the grocery store, then walking to their dog, then going to their job, and then doing nothing. And what they overcome? Nothing. They punched a time card.
Yeah. That's not a story. And, now to get controversial, my biggest criticism about Captain Marvel is just that. Her shit was too together. Like, she started off this really cool, snarky, badass character, just really in control, smart, knew how to handle every situation. The movie ends the same way. She didn't have a journey. She wasn't transformed. She starts off and ends the movie the exact same way, and that's just not compelling because what happened is they had to make her a strong female character. So when you've got a character that starts strong and ends strong, there's really not a lot of payoff. They need to overcome something. And just her being a woman, I don't think was enough of adversity to have to overcome. I'm sorry, ladies. I'm sorry.
And then you look at something like Iron Man, the first Iron Man. That movie is about him being a bad person and then overcoming that, but also overcoming getting tortured and kidnapped.
Yeah.
And no guy looks at that and goes, "Oh man, that's so sexist. Why did he have to be hurt?" That's storytelling.
Yeah.
I just blows my mind. I'm like, here's my thing is, if you're the type of person who's so woke and it bothers you, go write a story. Do it.
Yeah.
That's how you rectify that. Write your story.
But it's so much easier to critique other people's.
Really is.
All right. Well, we'll go ahead and switch gears into my topic for this week, and it's a weird one. Baby Jace. Let me go ahead and Google this real quick.
This is fucking weird.
I didn't do a whole lot of research ahead of time, which maybe I should have, but I like kind of going into all this stuff blind. Okay, so they're a UK-based vlogger family, and they're selling a $340 doll version of their newborn son at 2 weeks old. The purchase of the doll will allow fans to meet the family at special quote-unquote tea parties planned strictly for doll owners. Why does that remind me of some Eyes Wide Shut shit? Like, why is the picture that I conjure up a bunch of grown-ups diddling fucking baby dolls?
It's like the scene in Always Sunny where they're asking where he touched you. Have you seen that?
Yes.
He touches the butt.
Yes. Okay, the YouTube family is giving its subscribers a true at-home experience. They're the Ingham family. They boast 1.2 million subscribers, and they announced they're selling a lookalike doll version of their newborn son, according to BuzzFeed. Sarah and her husband, Chris, already parents to daughters Isabella, 13, Esme, 9, and Isla, 7, welcomed their first son on March 27th. In a vlog posted on July 19th, the family shared that they had teamed up with UK-based toy designer Mary Shortle to create a doll version of Jace as a limited edition toy for super fans of the family. All right, so first things first, what do you think about family vlogging channels?
So I have some like tangential friends from the YouTube community who do family vlogging, and they're very nice people.
So you're not going to say anything disparaging about them?
No. That being said, I'm a preface to is I don't fucking get it. I think it's a little weird. I don't know why anyone would want to watch someone else's family. Blows my mind.
That's a weird element of it. But then how does it's too young to know, like, as a phenomenon, but how does this affect a kid's development for everything to be broadcast to over 1 million people every week or every day?
Well, and it's funny. I'll take that one step further. I was having the conversation the other day that, like, granted, I don't have a personal social media, so I wouldn't post pictures on ours of, like, my kid. But even if I did, I don't think I'd want even pictures posted nonstop of my kid. I actually downloaded an app called Family Album, where it's essentially like a private social network where you can send verification codes to a couple of people. I'll send those to my parent, to my wife, and then so it's just weird for me. Like, I don't know if I would you want as an adult, would you want your whole life cataloged online for everyone to see?
I mean, as an adult and being able to make the decision, I personally no. But at the same time, if your answer was yes, I would. It's fine. It's your decision to make. But
I mean, as an adult now, like, would you want all your baby pictures and baby videos?
Right?
No.
Right. I see what you mean. Yeah. Right. And that's just it. Is like, as a 7-year-old, as a 13-year-old, even if they consented now, what the fuck do you know at 7 years old? You know what I mean? Like, they might come to regret this later on. And okay, so past that, I think it's a little weird. I think it's a little bit exploitive. If you're an adult and you want to vlog every moment of your life, that's one thing. I think it does bring this different element into it when you're talking about showing your family off to people. I mean, just as a numbers game, how many of those million subscribers are there because they're also families and they want to watch your family? And then how many of those million people have different motivations for why they watch your family?
Yeah, we covered a couple of stories of some creeps already, this week on the episode. There's those people watching those for those reasons. Unfortunately, there has to be.
That's what weirds me out about the doll in particular. And also, the father had been accused. There's some controversy surrounding him with some grooming allegations, which just because I don't know enough about it, I'll just leave it at that. If you guys do want to research it, I'll post a link down in the description to allegations that were made about this guy. So it makes me wonder, free market, all that kind of stuff, but it makes me wonder, do they know that they're catering or potentially catering to pedophiles? And if they do know that, is it still that kind of idea of like, I'm not going to make my decisions based around this, 1% of the population. We can't do things different just because there are bad people out there. Or do you think that they're capitalizing on it?
I don't know if that's their intention, is to capitalize on obviously the 1%. I think it's weird though. I think it's weird of like, who would buy this doll? Fans of the show. So, and I read the thing. It's like, so you can cuddle at home. What?
Yeah. And if you're a parent, if you're a family watching a family channel, then why do you need a baby doll?
You have kids running around.
Yeah, it's weird, man.
I'm sorry. I would not want anyone cuddling a doll of my daughter's likeness. What the hell? That's weird. Like, it's just, it's very bizarre to me. It seems like a cash grab because they know they can make money off of it. Which I would say good for them if it weren't based on someone who can't consent to that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It kind of, in the same way though, devil's advocate, it's kind of like child actresses and actresses, actors and actresses being on TV shows.
Oh, as far as it being a little exploitive, and it's really more about the parents than it is the kids.
And they can't consent to that.
Yeah. Yeah, you're right. It really is. It brings up a lot of kind of ethical questions. But I guess as a parent, until your kid is an adult, you are responsible for making their decisions. Mm-hmm. I mean, that's kind of the nature of parenting. So I guess if the parent decides that's what's best for their kid until they are of legal age to make their own decisions, that's just kind of the cards that they're dealt. I just don't know that that's the morally the right thing.
Well, we also live in this weird time now where it's like, and there'll be like, oh, your kid does this, you need to support them in this, even if it's all fucked up and they're 5 years old, Let them express themselves. Let them do this. I'm like, they're 5. They don't have the mental capacity to do these things. Or, oh, they like being on YouTube. They're 5.
Yeah. Yeah, they don't even really have a concept of what that is.
No, they don't know. They just know mommy and daddy take videos of them all the time.
And it makes them happy or whatever. And yeah, the kids are seeking affirmation.
You'll see this a lot with new agey parenting. My kid wants to do this, so I'm going to just let them so they can be themselves. I'm like, no, your job as a parent is to help them, guide them through the world and prepare them for adulthood and, introduce them to social norms. And there's just this whole new push of like, if my kid says it's okay, it's okay. False. You're the fucking parent.
Yeah.
You make decisions.
Yeah, I agree with that. I mean, look, if I had enough money, like if we were a successful enough YouTube channel, and guys, this right here, what I'm about to say, this is the reason why you guys need to push us to the top. Because if I had the money to buy one of these baby dolls, I would do it, and I would do something fucking horrible to it. I would douse it in kerosene, and I would light that motherfucker on fire, like at an intersection.
I would totally do like an unboxing on our channel.
We just unboxed a baby.
That'd be pretty hilarious. Yeah.
But it would be a social experiment. My point is this. If I would do something like that to this baby doll, imagine what other people are fucking doing with this baby doll. If all I want to do is douse it in kerosene and light it on fire at a populated intersection, imagine what the people who aren't uploading fucking videos are doing to that baby doll.
If you want to sell a doll of yourself as a cash grab, more power to you.
Yes, 100%.
I would totally make like a bust of my head and sell it to people as a joke, because that'd be funny. I'd even do some like mouth open if you want to do some creepy stuff to it.
Correct.
I think it's hilarious. But I'm an adult and I'm able to do that.
The comment section on the fucking on the buy page of this little baby Jace is like, is it 100% anatomically accurate? Like, I mean, is it 100%?
Is that what it says on there?
No, no.
I was like, holy
God,
shit.
no. But I mean, like, who wants this fucking thing? That's what I'm wondering. If 250 people, let's just say they sell every one of these 250 dolls, who are the people that are showing up to these tea parties? Do you want them around your fucking kids?
Hell no. If you have one of these dolls, please do not come around me or my family.
And that's just it. It's like you're selling it to potentially some of the biggest weirdos out there who have disposable income that they can spend $350 on a lifelike replica of a baby. And let's assume, like, it's bizarre to assume that these are the same people that are bringing up families in some parallel reality where it's not all broadcast on social media. Like, oh, they're just like us, only they don't have a YouTube channel. Would you buy a fucking $350 replica of a baby doll? No. Because normal people won't do that shit.
Well, that's just even weird because this is a microcosm of like the celebrity baby worship that is weird.
Yeah.
Like, I knew someone years ago on her cell phone. I forgot whose celebrity baby was. She had a picture of a baby. I was like, whose kid is that? I was like, oh, on her wallpaper. And it was some fucking celebrity.
Oh, no.
And I was like, oh. And I was like, holy shit, this girl's going to kill people.
Weird. Yeah. We'll see. I'm gonna keep an eye on this because I want to see video from the first of these tea parties. I want to see a bunch of socially awkward outcast weirdos just like coddling this little fucking rubber baby replica, not interacting with each other. I'm trying so hard to figure out like what a good reason to buy one of these fucking dolls.
To cuddle it, like the post said. To cuddle it while you watch. That's so creepy. Don't
so
put that in your
creepy.
post.
Yeah, I don't know, man. I'm done with it.
I don't know. That kind of gives me the like heebie-jeebies, this whole thing.
So
that 65-year-old man in Florida probably one of the pre-orders.
Yeah. I got 2.
He's like, I'll take 249 of those. That's what I'll take.
Oh, man. All right. Well, thank you guys for coming by to check out this edition of People Are Terrible. If you have any thoughts on these conversations that we've been having, let us know down in the comments section. A big reason why I make these videos is because I like talking to you guys. So let's do that down there in the comments section. And would you buy a baby? And what would you do, a baby replica, and what would you do with it? That's what we want to know, people. That's what we want to know.
I also want to know, if we were to release life-size replicas of us,
oh God,
what would you do to those as well?
Oh, Jesus. Here we go. We opened ourselves up for some entertaining comments, hopefully. And if you guys want to stay up to date with all of our content, then all you got to do is subscribe. Also, we are available on all podcasting services. So if you are wanting to get this in audio only, you have the ability to do that. Check down in the description. We will post links to that. If you want to stay up to date with just now said that part. If you enjoyed this video, do me a favor, take a second, click that like button. And until next time, and on behalf of both of us, be terrible.